But here it goes. So the scripture says, look, the ark of the covenant, which belongs to the Lord of the whole earth, will lead you across. This is NLT, by the way. Will lead you across the Jordan River. Now choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. The priests will carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth. As soon as their feet touch the water, the flow of water will be cut off upstream, and the river will stand up like a wall. So the people left their camp to cross the Jordan, and that's a promise, right? Like like as soon as their feet touch the water, the flow of water will be cut off upstream, and the river will stand up like a wall. So the people left their camp to cross the Jordan, and the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them, which is as they should have. And it was the harvest season, and the Jordan was overflowing its banks. Goodness gracious, that's scary. You gotta trust to put your foot in there and believe that it's gonna move and separate for y'all. But as soon as the feet of the priests who were carrying the ark touched the water of the river's edge, the water above that point began backing up a great distance away at the town called Adam, which is near Zarethan, and the water below that point flowed on the Dead Sea until the riverbed was dry. Then all the people crossed over near the town of Jericho. And oh my goodness, like I was like, that is such a great act of faith, and you really had to trust God to even put your foot in there, right? Like, and I was reading in that scripture, it was like even a beautiful thing in there. It's like put your foot on the water. Like you have to take that step first, right? You couldn't just be like, oh, it's not open. Like how am I gonna get through? Like you gotta come on, it's not dry. But the point was you had to make that first step. You got to put your foot there. That's how you trust God. You got to make the first step. He will provide that way. That's beautiful. But I started thinking, man, I started thinking, man, and I'm like, man, like that's not the only like faith step that they had to take, or even the only trusting that they had to do. They still had to trust him throughout the whole process. Like for real. Could you imagine? Like you're walking, all right, your foot is through it. All right, cool. There's dry ground now. But let's just say there's river on each side, or river all the way down there on the other side, and you're like, oh, it's dry land here, or there's rivers on the sides of you, or whatever. Let's just say that, right? And you're walking. Man, I'm not like I don't know what it is in me, but I'm gonna be scared still. I'm gonna be like, I trust you. I believe you guys. So you did that. That was crazy. Like nobody does that. You know what I mean? Like that nobody just be opening up rivers and moving them back like that. So I mean, chances are it's gonna be here. Like I'm gonna be good. But no matter what, the trust still had to be God on God throughout the whole process because realistically, they can't trust on themselves. Like think about that. Think about that for a second. I'm human, right? And that's cool. But like, what I'm gonna do if I'm standing in between some river and the river just come down? I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna put my hands out and just stop, halt. Like it's not gonna work. There's no way that I can stop that river from overflowing and taking me down. Like when God is like you walking through, he's like psych, river drop. Like and everybody drowns. Like there still has to be a trust in the God that you serve, that he will also sustain you, that he will also, carry you through. And there also has to be a trust that God will provide you all the way through. Provide a way for you all the way through. There's got to be a consistent trust. I'm telling you, I'll be putting my hand in there, like like you walking in the dark, touching on walls. I'll be, hey, we good in here, like we just like you go first, like go ahead of me, I'll be right behind, I'll be behind you. Like let them go ahead. I want to see what happens because that's just the way that we're naturally wired when it comes to trust. And that's just something I really thought about. I'm like, man, there had to be, like in that story in the book of Joshua, there has to be a level of trust that was deeper than just, oh, I trust you enough to put my foot out there. It's like I trust you enough to put my foot out there, and I trust you enough to go ahead and um, get through this river as well to get to the other side for that promised land. And that is, man, that was insane. And I was just like, it kind of comes back to this again.